on is like Puerto Rico's colonial history and how that's like similar to other like Latin American and Caribbean countries, but also different because of the outcome. And thinking about how we as like mainlanders or people from the U.S. benefited and continue to benefit from like that imperialism that's being imposed on Puerto Rico, and just ways that even back home we can act on that or like stand in solidarity or act in solidarity with people here.
For me, it was the street art that I saw that said nuestra cultura es resistencia, which like translates to our culture is resistance, and like that really like just like when I felt like that was always my goal or like my ideal, my ideology, but like just seeing that is something that I feel like I need to take back and like really write down or like really focus on.
Just like in Los Angeles, just like in Puerto Rico, and like and all over the world, like communities that are oppressed who face like marginalization are, of course, they're like rising up, they're like organizing the communities and just trying to take care of one another, trying to meet the needs that aren't met. And practicing collective care, taking care of one another are definitely the similarities, right? Because communities understand that at the end of the day, we need to have each other's backs.
Some of the similarities that I saw between Louisa and Los Angeles or California would be the activist group had activism for the Roe vs. Wade, so we can see that in Puerto Rico. I saw that. We also have that in Los Angeles. So just being able to witness that was great. Not only the collectiveness, but also like the abandoned homes, because some of the homes here or some of the locations here are vacant. And the question that we asked was like, what happened? What brought this about? Is because gentrification. Gentrification is happening in California or back home, and here in Puerto Rico it's happening, but it's happening here worse.
I feel like everything they pretty much going through as far as gentrification, you know what I'm saying? We face that back at home, you know what I mean? Act 22 again, that lets foreigners be exempt from income tax on their money, and that was interesting to me. But to see it in real life, to see how American culture can have such a negative impact on island culture, you know what I'm saying, the Caribbean culture, you know, but to know that when you come over to try to like bring your culture over, it really is kind of like stepping, like colonizing, you know what I'm saying, like the culture that's already here, it's kind of like watering it down. So just learning and walking through the neighborhoods and seeing how many like businesses were up and looked new and were running, but weren't even from the community, had no representation of the community other than it brought tourists, or you know what I'm saying. And even my own, you know, presence being here, you know what I mean, it's kind of like, if like without acknowledging, if I came here just to you know, on vacation, you know, without acknowledging some of the culture, you know, and some of the community aspects that we've been seeing, I feel like my own presence here could have also been like a watering down of the community that's, you know, already here. So seeing how deeply rooted certain cultures are here, the black culture within Puerto Rico, you know what I'm saying? We really don't have that type of like love back home, you know what I mean? Like they really love black folks. They, you know, some of the stuff, beautiful black queen, some of the paintings and different things that they were showing us, I'm like, whoa, if we had this back home, it'll make you more appreciative of your people.
I think two of the biggest things, of course, is the issues with police brutality and how low income and minority communities face more crime with police and violence with police, which was, I mean, that's where you're gonna see anywhere, honestly, unless it's countries where there's not a lot of black people. One of the big things that I'm gonna take back home is how like I identify with myself, especially with the intersectionalities of my identity. Like I know that identity and race and ethnicity is such a big complex issue, but just given the fact that like some people don't even understand the issues that are going on in their community, like can't even say that racism exists just because they consider themselves white.
I'd say the main differences are how much people care. A lot of people in the Antelope Valley, they don't really, in terms of diversity and inclusion and state-sanctioned violence, there's not a lot of nonprofits or organizations in general out there as compared to out here. The first place we went to when we talked to Yolanda and hearing about all of the books and the significance of having her, the picture book that she made, the significance of, you know, what that had meant to her and the community as a whole, I'd say that simply being there and seeing the excitement on her face as she also handed the award or handed the book to Maricel, seeing all of that go down it felt historically incredible, you know, being there for something that, you know, to other people might not seem as significant, but, you know, to them and to us, it meant the world to them, and that felt great.
Like Puerto Rico is like portrayed to be like this like low poverty like place that like needs all this help and assistance. Maybe it's more of a deserve, like they deserve to have a hospital and they deserve to have their houses rebuilt after a natural disaster. And the way that when we did, like the way you walk through the neighborhoods and you see like all these buildings that are demolished and like in destruction, and they're gonna leave it there until like somebody with a bunch of freaking money comes in and decides to buy it. And that's the same thing that they do in LA, especially in South LA. If something is messed up or a convenience store goes out of business, they just leave it there looking like whatever until they can let the next gentrifier in to put in a store or a house that we can't afford.